Good morning, everyone. I am very grateful to be here. I'm Diane Albano. I've been coming to Unity Church for a number of years. I'm a spiritual being having a human experience as a daughter, mother, friend, coworker, educator, life coach, and author. I welcome everyone in the sanctuary and everyone on YouTube. When Roger first asked me if I would speak today, I took a deep breath and I said, I'll get back to you. I immediately found all of my typical thoughts of, I don't know if I could have the same kind of speech and presentation as some of the people who have come here who are nationally known. I don't know if I can do that. Am I good enough? It was amazing to see how, even with all the work that we do, we are still having those thoughts, those patterns of thoughts that question and have us step up and be who we are. So I thank you for that, because it was a divine appointment. And I whispered to myself, you are far greater than your circumstances, you can do this. And then I thought, okay, I have the name of the talk. You're far greater than your circumstances, I can take it from here. So with that, I was very grateful. And I also am happy to have an opportunity to work with some of you as I facilitated some of our Prosperity Plus classes in the church that were designed by Mary Morrissey, who was a Unity minister and is a renowned speaker, coach. I attended some of her programs. And she also served as a spiritual mentor for me. Mary would offer powerful statements and use certain phrases that would interrupt my old patterns of thinking, such as, I would say, I can't do this. This is too hard. I don't want to do this. This will never happen. And I would have my friends, and of course we would all kind of commiserate, and so we all agreed with one another, this isn't going to happen. So the phrase that she used was, up until now. Okay, up until now, which was a pattern interrupt for your conscious thinking. Like, up until now, I haven't been able to do that, but maybe I could. It really provides a moment for your subconscious to open and pause and allow some different kind of energy to come in. Because up until now, you have already thought a certain way, and unless something comes in, then you're not going to change that way of thinking. It does allow you to take a breath. So up until now, I've never been able to stay on a food plan. Up until now, I wasn't able to walk 10,000 steps. So there were a lot of things that I said up until now. The other question she presented was, what if you could? What if I could? I don't want to get up in the morning. I'm pretty comfortable. I don't want to go out to exercise early. But what if you could? Again, it interrupts your thinking. So I would ask for you to think about how many conversations do you have going on in your mind, and you're telling yourself a story, and ask yourself, what if I could? So I present that to you. Possibility is far beyond your circumstances. We need to be open to it. The truth is, and the Course of Miracles teaches us, that we are all one. We are all energy. We are God. Some of us resonate with different words as the universe, divine mind, higher power. Whatever word really resonates for you, take it into your heart and be with that, and that is your truth. Unity offers an opportunity for truly to discover who we are and to connect with our God self. I know it did for me. I was raised Catholic. I was one of those little girls that had heaven up here and the God up in the sky, and definitely outside of myself was where all of God was. And even now, sometimes do you find yourself looking up when you say, thank God? I mean, it's a habit. It's a pattern. Think about that. If you're looking up, where are you? You're here. We took a lot of teachings on as if they were the truth. If you can identify with the fact that you've had God at one point in your life, up until now, being outside of you, And now we have evolved more spiritually, then we're allowing ourselves to say, that wasn't true. And now this is the truth, that we are one. We are God. God is in us. The world today is not easy. It's very difficult to keep our spiritual self alive and well when we get very consumed with our thinking and the devastation and the loss and the tragedies that are happening all around us. Although each one of us experiences a circumstance, as a collective, we all have stories, yet we all have similar feelings. We have the sadness. We've all had loss. We've all had betrayal. We've all had the grief and anger. We've all had challenges, debilitating health experiences either for ourselves or for others. Financial stress. Reverend Michael Beckwith from Agape International Spiritual Center shared, in order to be a harbinger, a forerunner of the next emergence of humanity on this planet, you have to carry the frequency of what is trying to emerge. Your frequency is your currency. I thought, your frequency is your currency. In the Prosperity Plus program, we talked about currency, and oftentimes we think about it as just being money. We think about, and then we learn, okay, let's expand it by saying prosperity and abundance and wealth. And all of those words, I don't know if any of you have a little tug at some of them and saying, well, I don't quite get that. That's, our fear and our conversation and our belief up until now triggers us. Wealth, prosperity, abundance are all mindsets. It's a way of thinking. We initially attach a thought to only money, but it's far beyond. If our frequency is in fear, scarcity, doubt, judgment, devastation, then the currency, the vibration you will share with others will be there. So it's very difficult at times to move ourselves when we are kind of in thinking lack and despair. When we practice that old pattern of thinking, which we all learned very well, it permeates our being, and we get overwhelmed, and we can feel not enough, and we can question ourselves, and we may feel judged. We may feel we don't fit in. We may feel alone. And sadly, some move more deeply into depression and despair. One story that's not in my book, The Art of Being Nice, Own Your Voice for Greater Fulfillment, some copies are in the library. It's about a single parent who had a young son in his high school years who really, he was witty and humorous and good-hearted and intelligent, and those high school years were very, very difficult, and he found himself not feeling he fit in, that he felt different. He didn't believe what people were really telling him because they didn't align with how he saw the world. And of course, his mother was absolutely frantic because he wasn't attending school, and she would call the teachers and she would call the counselors, and they would fight in the morning about getting up and are you going to go to school, and he'd promise he'd go to school the next day, and she would think, what have I done wrong and what more could I be doing? And there was always this frenetic energy about trying to fix it and make it better. Well, some of you know that this story is my son, and it's my story. And this was a very difficult time in our lives, but I would say I was very grateful when someone said to me, Diane, you need to surrender. You need to surrender to God. This is not yours to carry. He has his own higher power. He has his own choice to make. This cannot be yours. You cannot carry this. You know, those are very deep-seated words, but when it's your son, it's your only son, and you want something so badly, I had said, well, I've been praying to God. I've been begging. And they just smiled and they said, let go and let God. So today's daily word was perfect. Surrender. Do we really surrender when we say we know it's not within our framework to do? That really took a long time, and we went a long journey. It really felt like that dark night of the soul. But I do have the light at the end of that tunnel there. And he is today a very loving son and father and husband, so I am really very happy and proud of him. We all have stories like this. I've come to learn that God truly does not give us more than we can handle. It becomes our ability to respond, being willing to listen to that small voice, being willing to trust. We say we trust, but then we take it back. Expansiveness of thought. If we expand our thinking, this is where we come into gratitude, being grateful for every circumstance that comes to us, be it we wanted it or not. That is a chore. That's not easy, but it is a new way of thinking. We have not been trained to think that way. We've been trained how to handle devastation and know how to fix it and rise to the occasion. But inside, it's really about surrendering and trusting that we are far greater than our circumstances because we are not alone. Michael Beckwith said, "Problems are simply feedback on where we need to grow. We can shine light into places on ignorance, where we are inhibiting the flow of life from coming into our life. We truly are spiritual beings having a human experience. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore were the pioneers of challenging a system of thought and healing, and Myrtle healed herself as she released and let go of her fear thoughts. We do know that where our attention goes, the energy flows. What if it could be different? What about if we can be more prosperous and abundant? What if we could? What if we stopped multitasking and being married to fear and worry and listened to some of the inside? The sanctuary says, peace be still. We need to still the busy, frenetic thoughts and listen. I love the fishing story in the Bible. As fishermen, their livelihood, obviously, the disciples went out and fished all the time. And one night they went out and they came back in and they didn't get anything. And while they're out there, and of course they're human beings, you can imagine they were not happy campers. And they probably complained and said, why me? And why is this happening to me? And I need this for my livelihood and this fish, and I've always fished this way. And can you hear that conversation? And we all have that conversation. I've always done it this way. I've always manifested. Everything's fine. Well, when they came back, there was a man on the beach that they didn't recognize as Jesus. And when he asked how they did, they said, we didn't get anything. And he said, you need to put the net on the right side of the boat. Now, they went back out and they thought about that. But I want to say, this is not just a physical recommendation. This was about a change in perception. They had always been doing it a certain way, and they'd always manifested. How many times have we always done something, and all of a sudden now it doesn't work anymore? All right? Now, that can be with our family and our friends and at work or whatever. Yet, putting it on the other side of the boat. And we do know that gloriously when they did that and they went back out to sea, they brought in, they had more fish than they could haul in their net. This is your life. You are fishing. Put your net on the other side of the boat. I have a few phases of circumstances that I want to share. The first one we just talked about, it happened to me. Anyone relate to that? It happens to me. Why does my hot water heater for my car went? Why is my family member giving me a difficult time? It's happening to me. We've all been there. We've all played victim. We've been in that play. The next one is by me. And actually, the daily word, let go and let God, by me, we take responsibility and we let go and we give it to God. This is not something I can carry. I really am turning it over. We create a space for Spirit to come in. And that by me is the forgiveness. You forgive. You can forgive others. Forgive yourself. And honestly, at times, we need to forgive God because we have not always believed that things could be true and that he could be there for us. So there's forgiveness. And then there are times that it's for me. We may have some catastrophic thing happen. We know in the world, certainly there's a lot of things beyond our control. The circumstances are beyond our comprehension, and yet we have to embrace it and see that there is some good in there for us. And oftentimes that's very difficult to see a loved one or yourself have a devastating illness and say that this is for me. But inside there is something for you to learn, something for you to grow on. The next phase would be through me. Being a companion with God, that together you're in a partnership with one another. It's like plugging in into an electrical outlet. You plug into the circuit, and you don't question whether the light's going to go on. You just plug it in and you turn it on. We have to trust that the light is there for us. And the last one is as me. And all of us have experienced as me when we look at a sunset. We get lost in the moment. We absolutely get lost, and we don't think about anything, and we are one. Sometimes this happens in meditation. It can happen. But these phases come and go. We go up and down, but they are all dealing with our circumstances. One of Unity principles, support through affirmative prayer and meditation. I connect with God and bring out the good in my life. There is a beautiful passage in chapter 8 in the Course of the Course of Love. It supports my talk this morning. And it talks about two systems. Everything is held together by a thought system. One system is the thought of God, the thought of love. The other thought system is the thought of ego, the separated self. The thought system of the separated self sees everything in separation. The thought system of God sees everything in unity. The thought system of God is one continuous creation, rebirth, and renewal. And the ego's thought system is one of destruction, decay, disassembly. And yet, how alike they are to one another. And for me, it helps for me to remember that I truly have the freedom to choose. In closing, we know that our unity principle is that God is good and active in everything and everywhere and everyone. Love and acceptance, trust, forgiveness, gratitude are truly an inside job. We are responsible for our thoughts and our choices. It is stressful when we feel like a victim and letting the outside world dictate who we are. Even the biggest hurdle has had some light and opening for gratitude. Someone supporting you during these times, that there is some gratitude to be had and to have us feel lighter. Embrace your light and make it welcome. Be the light, as in the meditation. Breathe in love and light. Allow yourself to lean into the divine being you are in the midst of all the chaos in your heart and in your mind. What if you were willing to take a few minutes to embrace that everything is exactly the way it is to be? Trust that we are divinely guided and know and trust that you are far greater than any circumstances and you are not alone. It's been an honor today to have this opportunity to share my love and my light, and I hope that we all take our love and light, bring it home to your family, your friends, and extend it to the world. Namaste.